Tom Cruise is back with Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. This is pretty much part two of Dead Reckoning that came out a couple years ago. I think it was like 2023. I don't really remember. Just all feels like a blur. But anyways, if I had to hear the entity one more fucking time, bro, I'm so glad I don't gotta hear that shit no more. I gotta be honest with you, like I haven't been a fan of these Mission Impossible movies as far as, 7 and 8 goes. I just feel like this whole AI situation and, them having to get the source code to the entity to kind of shut it down, and now this entity has kind of taken over people's minds and shit like that. I just didn't care for none of that shit. I just, to be honest, like that's the one thing that kind of left me feeling meh off of like 7. Now going into this one, like the recap, this movie opens up pretty much as like a recap for people that haven't watched or haven't done a rewatch, so that's kind of helpful. But it's a rewatch mixed with a bunch of nostalgic scenes, you know what I'm saying, from previous movies. And Ethan now has to deal with not knowing who to really trust. The government, you have Gabriel still out there, and you have the entity. So he's dealing with a lot of things in this movie. But man, when I tell you, this movie just felt like it dragged and dragged and dragged. I was literally bored a lot of the time throughout this movie. This movie is damn near 3 hours. It did not need to be this fucking long. He has his whole crew together, you know what I'm saying? Vin Rames is in here. He's kind of knocking on death's door. It's ironic that, like, he's the only character to really, like, just die out of the whole entire crew. Everybody else is cool. I had an issue with that. It was just like there was some high stakes, but you already know that, like, Tom Cruise never really dies in any of his fucking movies. So it's like, yeah, he has these really tense, cool action sequences, but just, he's going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? Which I would rather, I'd be cool with that if some of his crew were just getting taken out one by one. It's just this movie is kind of a mess with the plot and whatnot, where, you know what I'm saying, they're trying to get this source code to shut down, the entity, because the entity is, taking control of all these major nations, like nuclear weapons, and it was pretty much going to set off like World War III and destroy the whole damn planet. And Ethan kind of saw this in this little machine where it kind of shows you like these like premonitions and shit like that. Really weird shit. I'm not a fan of the whole use of AI in this. I feel like it was very wishy-washy, in my opinion. There were some cool sequences, even though sometimes I'm like, this doesn't look like Tom. Like, this definitely looks like some CG, or just there was some CG used here or there. Even though, you definitely see Tom doing his own stunts and whatnot. Like the one scene where he's traversing through the submarine, that was probably like the best action sequence. I didn't really care for the third act, honestly. Even though it was like kind of high tense, and we see that final kind of confrontation between him and Gabriel. And Gabriel is just such a fucking lame villain. Like, the villains in this are just, everybody just feels like AI in this movie. They don't talk like normal human beings. Like, the dialogue is just very bland. There's not a lot of life to characters. There's some moments where you'll hear people chuckle, and just kind of funny moments. The best new character that they introduced in this is played by the same guy that played Mr. Milchick. He's probably like the most person with the most personality. You got Angela Bassett here, and everybody that Ethan has came in contact with, and it's kind of just the same old. Like, oh, we don't trust Ethan. We don't, you know what I'm saying? But there's other people that trust him to do the right thing. He's the only one. He's the great white hope in this movie that he's the only one that could save the fucking world. It's just, I don't know. And maybe I'm thinking too deep about it, and you know what I'm saying? But I just prefer the last, like, you know, like 4, 5, and 6. Like, I like the first 6 more than the last 2. This definitely feels more of a, like, Marvel movie. And at times I'm like, yo, is this a Mission Impossible movie or is this a fucking Terminator movie? Because it's like this entity pretty much turns into damn near Skynet. Overall, I wasn't the hugest fan of this movie. I probably wouldn't watch this again just because the runtime and just the pacing of this movie I think is really the biggest negative of this movie. And just a lot of scenes just drag for just the sake of the plot, and just everything just feels very contrived, and they don't really take enough risks, especially if this is going to be quote unquote the final film, which I don't think this is going to be the final movie. If anything, I could see Haley Atwell's character being like the new main lead, and her having her own team, and maybe Ethan's kind of like the one that kind of gets the missions for them, and he kind of plays more of a background character. These movies make money. It's a very expensive movie. It's like $400 million on the budget, so I just don't know how it's going to do box office wise. The last one pretty much was like a flop. And I don't know, man. I feel like maybe this needs to go back to the basics, but also at the same time, we probably don't need another Mission Impossible movie after this, because they tie all the different movies with this movie, and it could have been better. It could have definitely been a much tighter film. I just feel like it's just more of the same, just a longer ass movie. That's just me. I know some people are going to really enjoy this movie and enjoy these movies overall, even with their flaws, but it's just like, man, it gets to a point where it's like, it's cool that Tom does his own stunts, but it's like, let's have like good stunt work, but also have a good plot, a good story, and better dialogue with these movies, because it's just, with Top Gun Maverick, Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning, it's just like a bunch of mid. We're in like the mid era of Tom Cruise movies, and it's just like, I know he's capable of doing more, but it's like, I don't know, he's just kind of phoning it in. That's just my opinion on this movie. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.